The day I buried my old man was already the worst of my life, standing there in that muddy cemetery, suit soaked from the rain, feeling like the ground had swallowed up more than just his casket. But then this certified letter shows up at my door, demanding $250,000 for some bogus property violations on land my grandpa snapped up back in '48, way before this fancy suburb even sprouted up around us. And there she was, Lisa Hargrove, our HOA queen bee, strutting over in her crisp black dress like she owned the block, handing me the papers with this fake sympathetic smile, saying, "Jack, honey, timing's tough, but rules are rules, gotta keep Oak Ridge Meadows pristine. I could smell her overpriced lavender perfume cutting through the wet earth on my shoes, and right then, with grief still raw in my chest, I tasted something sharper, pure, boiling rage, because this wasn't just about my rusty old barn workshop. It was her trying to erase 3 generations of my family's sweat and stubbornness, all while I was grieving the man who'd taught me everything about standing tall. Look, I'm Jack Harlan, 40-something builder who's more at home with a hammer than a handshake. Running the family contracting gig out of that same 3-acre plot in what used to be nothing but soybean fields and open sky. Grandpa paid peanuts for it after the war, built our simple ranch house, and that barn where the air always smells like sawdust and honest work. After my divorce hit hard a couple years back, it's where my kid, Sophie, 16 and full of fire, comes every other weekend to tinker with tools that once belonged to her great-grandpa. Learning to weld like I did from Dad, those moments, man, they're the glue holding me together, especially now that Dad's gone, leaving me his calloused hands and that unshakable principle: family land ain't for sale, no matter how many McMansions pop up around it. But Lisa? She's this 30-something ex-corporate climber who waltzed into Oak Ridge 8 years ago, got herself elected HOA prez through backroom deals and guilt-tripping snowbirds. Think bleach blonde hair, always in heels that click like she's marching to war, living in this oversized colonial with a fountain that gurgles like it's mocking everyone else's sprinklers. She hated my barn from day one, calling it an eyesore that dragged down her perfect little kingdom. But deep down, I knew it was more. Jealousy, maybe, or that power trip from bossing folks around after her old job chewed her up. Whatever it was, she started small, with noise gripes about my 7 a.m. starts, even though city rules say 6 is fine, then ramped up to inspector visits, petitions, and finally that funeral day bombshell, claiming my barn broke covenants that didn't even exist when we were here first. At first, I just stewed nights in Dad's old office, his aftershave still hanging in the air like a ghost, flipping through yellowed files while anger simmered into something colder, more calculated, because Lisa thought she could bully me into folding, betting I couldn't fight back amid the grief and bills piling up. But oh, she had no clue what she'd unleashed. See, while she was sipping wine and plotting her next HOA slideshow about community threats, I dug deep, found Grandpa's original deed, crisp as the day he signed it, proving our land predated her whole setup by decades. No HOA strings attached. Hired this sharp attorney, Maria Ruiz, who specialized in these land wars, and she said, "Jack, document it all at M-Swing first." So I did. Cameras up, logs of every snide email, every false complaint she lobbed at zoning, fire, even the EPA, accusing my fuel tank of poisoning the earth when it was permitted. Spotless. Her meetings? Pure theater. Picture her at the clubhouse, projector beaming photos of my tools like crime scene evidence, rallying the dentist next door about air quality risks and the teacher down the street about kid safety, all while whispering about undesirables invading their bubble code for folks like me, blue-collar holdouts in her white picket dream. I crashed one, laid out my deed on their polished table, saying calm as could be, "Lisa, you might want to check your facts before this bites you back." But she just waved it off with that manicured hand, sneering, "Your grandpa's loophole doesn't trump our standards. Vote to enforce, folks." And the board nodded along, 4-1, like sheep. Her manipulation game was strong, fueled by that need to control after whatever demons chased her from her sales gig. But here's where it flipped me: late-night county archive dives, under buzzing lights that smelled like dust and forgotten fights, uncovered gold. The developer's 2005 survey goofed big time, slapping half an acre of our land into their plat, meaning 12 houses, including Lisa's gazebo, plus the playground and pool, squatted on Harlan dirt. And get this, The natural spring Grandpa locked rights to in 49 fed their whole irrigation setup. Every drop in her fountain stolen from us for years. Irony hit like a gut punch. She'd been preaching purity while guzzling our water to keep her lawn emerald. I kept it quiet. Per Maria's advice let her escalate. Watch her dig deeper, and boy did she. Weekly lawyer letters demanding appraisals for a forced buyout, claiming eminent domain like she was the queen, even bribing a councilman with campaign cash to condemn my barn as a nuisance. He reported her. News blew up. HOA boss in bribery bust, and her hubby, Greg, got caught on my cam slashing tires at 2 a.m., spray painting "Get Out" like a bad movie villain, landing him in cuffs while she yelled at reporters. It's self-defense for our values. Criminal? Sure, but it stemmed from her fragility. Losing control terrified her, especially after whispers of her fake sales reports got her canned back then. Neighbors started cracking. Fees tripled for her legal vendetta, $50,000 down the drain on attorneys chasing ghosts. And when I filed for her records, boom, her presidency was invalid. Only 7 years in when bylaws said 10, voiding every threat she'd hurled. Man, the town hall showdown felt like destiny-packed hall. Cameras rolling, Lisa up first in her suit, voice quivering as she ranted. Jack's a menace, destroying our dreams. Federal probes prove it. But I stepped up, slides flashing Grandpa's deed, surveys marking encroachments, water docks showing I could flip their taps dry tomorrow, saying steady. I could wreck this place. Force moves, sue for back rent, but nah, let's fix it fair. Easements for cash, rights respected. Applause erupted. Lisa lost it, screeching conspiracy, blackmail, till security dragged her out, mascara streaking, allies scattering like rats. Her empire crumbled, exposed as the tyrant she was. Driven by that hollow hunger for dominance that blinded her to the mess she made. We settled. $90,000 for easements and water, new board cleaned house, bylaws tightened, no more unchecked power. Lisa? Probation for false reports. Greg divorced her. House sold at a loss. She vanished. Fountain ripped out like her fake facade. My business boomed. Sophie's proud. And I started a rights fund to help others fight these bullies, honoring Dad's memory in that barn. Tools gleaming under the lights. But here's the thing that still nags at me: is I too merciful, letting her off with just a slap when she timed that letter for my darkest day? Or does real justice mean building bridges instead of burning them? What do you think? Ever dealt with an HOA nightmare where lines blur between right and revenge? Drop your stories below. Tell me if I'd gone too far or not far enough. Let's chat about these community clashes that hit home. Hit like if this fired you up. Subscribe for more real talk tales. You won't want to miss the next one.